Right, so CSC 202, we're gonna talk about how to complete your final project, right? This is just checkpoint 1, right? So we will introducing you to the objects and classes, and then I show you how to generate it, right? The source code for that, for person, users, right? And now we will showing you how to use the FXML, right? Use IntelliJ. So that's the reason why I like you to use IntelliJ as your IDE, because IntelliJ has an option to create JavaFX project that link with FXML, like easy to use with scene builder. Okay, if you pick the other IDE, maybe it can do so, but it's going to take a lot of configuration time to make it work. Okay, IntelliJ, that's why it's easier for you to use that. Now, we were looking at the how to jar, right? We create artifacts, right? Right, we set artifacts and we build it, right? To get your jar. Then we can reuse the jar, pretty much just import as a library, right? So when you go to file settings, project structure, yeah, we go to here, file, project structure, and then you can do libraries, and we import our own jar in here. We can stack the jar, right? So that's what we did. Yeah, add library to use in your application. Like now we use it in our authentication. So overview, we just try to show you how to integrate the code that you create, which is the code from your data structure, to use in your application to store what we try to store. User account in this case, but most likely all the application you need to store the data. That's why, right? It's you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You can just reuse all the libraries, right? When you store the data. So that's why it's important to understand this concept. Now, let's look at we have person class, user class, we put in the model. This is the model, right? And we have the view, which is on the FXML here. If you want to rename the package a little bit, we go to refactor and rename. And let me just do edu.nvcc.csc202. The project name, we talk about Nova Map and view. It looks like we have controller in there too, huh? So we might want to create another one and move our controller into that new package. Controller. Just try to simplify a little bit, then you see we want to organize your classes and files this way. Now, test should not be in here. Let's just remove it first for now. We didn't do the test yet. Okay? Actually, this one is a sub, right? So there you go. Let me change from here. Then we don't need this. Alright, so we have 3 different packages and we are reorganizing it a little bit, right? Now, I want you to do the same in your project. So we were looking at, this is a controller that has a meta display sign up view, right? So we want to run the application. So the application should show, pretty much go to the main, right? And the main pretty much just going to call the login JavaFX.fxml here and display the first screen for login. So now after I structure the files, so I start to get errors. And say this package doesn't exist. So this package should be part of the libraries, right? Libraries. JavaFX.fxml. I mean, we still have the other one, JDK right there, right? Dependencies, JDK 9. Okay, let's see. There's no errors in the code. So maybe we want to clean and rebuild then. So let me clean, rebuild project. Maybe under view, let's check if it's changed. Yeah, there are errors right there. Red mean errors. So it's just about refactor and it may not. There you go. There's something that is not right. I used lowercase too. So under this, it has to be another class name called controller. Okay, so that error fixed. It's say 326. So it's pretty much, this is line 3, column 26. So it doesn't know what is this. Let's just try to remove and rerun. So because 1.9. I have to switch to 1.8 then. This is just the new release, right? Earlier this last month, they just released the JDK 1.9. Yeah, remember this one will not support that. So we have to change this to 1.8. The JavaFX for this one. Very interesting, right? I will try like coding manually to see if it's supporting, but this one, yeah, now it should work. So I switched to use JDK 1.8. So technically you might want to use 1.8. Alright, so we get the username and password, right? But we were talking about when you hit create account, it should do the change the view, right? Now when I hit create account, let's see what does it do. It throws some errors, it didn't change the view. So this is the errors that throw. So let's see which part we want to twist this down to the line of code right there, right? Line 42. Okay. So what's the error message say? That's when it's trying to load that sign up JavaFX, right? So first, let's see if I'm just guessing. It's just confusing where the file is. Check spelling. But let's see the error message is gonna say null pointer exception. So null pointer, that means it's not valid, something that never have it. It's null, right? Location is required. Probably they want to know where the file is, I think. Now, why the main doesn't have to do that? Get resource. Because it's in the same, right? It's in the same folder, right? So that's why main and login JavaFX in the same location. But now for my controller that I just wrote, so I just say it's going to call this method, right? When I click, this is the, remember last time we were talking about there are two ways to get the primary stage back. And what's the primary stage? This is the primary stage, the whole Windows, right? So one way, like I said, you can just do get and setters. I showed you the code last time. On your main, you just create like primary stage as getter and setter right there, right? And then you can call it here. And another way is, like I said, the action event. When you click this guy, you pretty much just know that this guy located in this primary stage, meaning that we should be able to get a source, right? Get a sort pretty much just where is its source where it's located, something like that. So then we get a scene, right? Scene is that's gray area. So and then we get a window. Window is just the primary stage right there, where the scene is located. So that's why, and after we get it, then we pretty much just casting it back to the stage, because primary stage is from stage. Then we get the primary stage here. Okay. Now the problem is not that one. It looks like primary stage is fine, but the problem is after we get the primary stage, I want to load the fxml, but it doesn't know where it is because this controller is not having its different package. You see that location is the problem, and it say that location is required. Right. So how do we specify to that location? We could get a path name. So when I hover, it's pretty much just show the Java doc. It's just require you to provide a string, right? So I wonder if I can do just a packaging way, or has to be slash. So it depends on get resource. It's all about how to use get resource. How to get resource is being programmed, right? Like if you read the source code, it's pretty much just, it's going to tell you if you really trace it down, right? Get the name, get resource again. Look at, this is pretty much the code from the library in JDK 1.8. Alright, so let me just test them. So edu.nvcc. I suspect it's not gonna work, but I just want to try. Can we do by the package? Okay. Dot. This one should be under view, right? So right, same problem. So now we might want to do the path. So it's dot dot. Go back one folder up and get into the path. Now in Java, you might want to use this slash view. Okay, this slash way. So I just try to use the path instead and see. Still doesn't like it. So let's test with the absolute path first. Copy path. All right, let's run this. Still doesn't like it, huh? All right, so I probably need to, since I restructured a different location, wonder I need to read how the get resource work. Okay. To get a path. Okay, let me Google real quick. Maybe we have a quick answer. Get resource. Oops. Let me charge that. Slash so this one showing that even you have different directories, right? Like for example, if I put my fxml file under main/resources, then I can just do like that. Resources. So it looks like we want to put this under resources, huh? So this one, it seems like you already have the last option. Assume that the class from which you are loading the fxml is in the same relative location in the corresponding Java source hierarchy. You might invoke the last load command from source. This is a package, right? My company, my app. Main resources fxml. So let's see if we can manage our fxml in that way. So now we put under view, right? Source, we have package. So this is pretty much a package, right? Source and then package. So we're on at number 3 here, right? Let's move it up. Get resources. So this one, when I look at main, get resources can do like that. Since my main.java is resizing under my app, right? And my app also is just exactly like that, right? It's in the same location, right? So now, if it is in different location, let's try. Let's say if I have that folder, then I probably want to do slash this guy is under controller, no, under view, right? But this guy happened to be under controller. So how do we get the file from here? Slash view. Let's try that one first. You have to go back up one folder first, right? That's what I think.
You could just copy it as a, I think it's a relative path. You right click on the FXML file, copy the relative path.
Oh, we got different error message. Yeah, I did try, but can I try this one? I got different message now. Okay. Because it add package and another package, right? That you see that edu twice. So let's see where is it coming from.
Did you refactor the controller file? Or you just deleted it?
The controller class. The error is coming from. It's actually go through that already, right? Go through that error already, but different errors now. So that we don't have location problem, right? It's gone. But this is another errors. Caused by. Okay, there's an exception when it's try to load. Okay. And this is the one, right? That caused an error, line 42. But it was saying this class not found exception. The controller, okay, so that means this guy actually the problem, the error in here after it's load. So the same problem is going to add that package right there. See that? Alright, so now I can read the file, which is a good sign. The problem is this guy. Alright, so now we should be good. Let's run again. That's pretty much how you trace the errors. Voila. We got to sign up, right? by switching the scene. It's just the path after we change the packages. So you're gonna probably run into the same situation when you try reorganizing your structure of the files. So just be careful about the path, okay, and the package, like there, that I just fixed. Okay. All right. So now let's test again. So I said I want to sign in, right? I need to create account. So create account pretty much just take you to create account page. So you type in username, like CSC 202, and password. So at this point, when you hit sign up, remember last class we were talking about it's gonna call, now there's an error. It's gonna call sign up, right? And pass it get text and get text from sign up from the UI that we just entered, CSC 200, right? So 202 should come here. Now the error is coming from, like after that, this line just create the error. This is our stack list of user that we test already, line 36. So what's wrong with that errors? Version has been compiled in more recent version because we create that in what 1.9, right? And now we use in 1.8. It looks like there's a version issue here. Very interesting with 1.9, huh? We can just switch that and make 1.8. Because that one we up to 53, this is only 52. So this is compatibility issue with 1.9. So like I said, JDK 1.9 just released. It's not like recommended to use yet. It's just like for us to test and report all the errors that we found. I probably has to report this issue to Oracle. Now what we can do is we can just use 1.8 because 1.9 seems like still have a lot of issues that we see. So what we're gonna do, we're going to go back and open the stack, right? And this stack is going to be, we're going to change it to 1.8, okay, and recompile it and create in 1.8, and then we just do artifact for jar, right? All right, so same, go to file and project structure, and we're gonna do SDK. Project, I want to switch to 1.8 instead. So we're going to use 1.8 to create it. That's the artifacts. SDK 1.8. Alright. So we're going to go to build the artifacts. So it's going to create a new stack.jar. And then we're going to copy that with one error, huh? Invalid source list 1.9 issue, huh? Did I set up? source release. I change. Okay. Maybe we want to build and test, recompile this. Let's do the stack test again. Right click. We can actually right click the whole stack test project folder and run the test. It's going to run all the tests in here for you, like our stack test and stack test. All 6 tests passed. Okay. Now it should recompile it. Now I'm going to do the artifacts again, build. Okay. It looks like it's good now, right? So now we're gonna go to the folder, which is C users. And we're going to copy that jar stack. It's going to be under out artifacts. So this should be today date. Okay. So this should be the jar with 1.8 and it should not give us an error. So we're going to copy this and we're going to put it back onto our project, which is, I name it authentication. Let me just change path from here. Right there. And local lib, right? That's an old one, so I'm gonna delete it. Seems like I cannot have replaced. Okay, let's try again. So let's switch back to authentication and run the program. Alright, so it looks like it's missing the library now. Errors. So this comes start with errors, right? LL stack doesn't know what is it. Let me just try to rebuild. Because I removed that, I replaced the file, right? Let's clean up. The LL stack we put in that package, right? Where's LL stack? Oh, it's under stack and then LL stack. Okay. Alright, so now create account. Switch the scene, right? Username, password, sign up. No errors. Good. Meaning that it get to the point where when I hit sign up, it's create account and add the user to that stack. Now, when I want to log in, authenticate, I just going to talk to the same stack, right? If so, when we authenticate, we're gonna get the username in form uname.getText, if you remember, right? So let me just create a string, or yeah, let's do that, string, and then uname equals to username equals to uname dot get text, and then password equals to, what do I name it? Sign in, is it, I think I name password, right? Dot get. Let me verify. So login scene builder, when we put password, fxid undercode hit on password. Password. Now let me just use different name. Did I declare it here? Yes, password. This password field get text right there. Alright, so authentication program, I mean, if you happen to take my CSC 200 class, you probably have this file already. You can actually do the same jar, put in here, reuse them. Right, then you don't have to worry about logic again. So, because we had to do a lot of validation, and now, like field validation, things like that. So let's make simple username. Now, where do we get my user? It's going to be under list of users, right? Like normally you have to use dot contains. If it contains, then right? Like now our stack, we don't have that yet. We get pretty much just go to pop just to test, right? So we're gonna have user current user, okay, equals to list of. Now when you write this program, you have to make sure that list of users should not be empty, right? Like we want to make sure, yeah, let's do that. Because if it's empty, it's going to send null pointer exception, right? So we're going to say if list of users. The problem is this list of users happen to be in this is private, right? Then we have to make it as a fields of the controller. Then when we sign up and when we authenticate, we talk to the same list, right? So, and then I'm going to say if list of users we have is empty. If we talk about list, we have is empty, right? But the stack, we pretty much just say pop. If we pop and it's not, we say top not equals to null. Then we check that this is not an empty list. Then we can actually try to pop the user out. So that pretty much just the last user that we create because we push it in, right? Last user is going to be on the top. So you can see that stack is not a good data structure for authentication to store the user data because the operation is not appropriate. Like we want to look at is empty, no, they don't have that. We want to look at contains, no, we don't have that, right? We're gonna test this guy. So if it's not null, we pop the user out, so we get the user information, and then we do validate again. If current user dot get username dot equals to the username, right, that user tried to log in, and current user dot get password, right, equals to password. Then we're going to, let's do alert. Alert is just like the option pane or pop-up box in JavaFX equals new alert. And then you just say alert type. Alert type is just going to say like in an information box, just like the option pane dot get message dialog for that one. So we're going to say alert dot show and wait. We want that, but we want to set the message to alert dot set content text, say hello, concatenate with current user dot get username. All right, let's test. So we're going to create a user first. Like I said, we can do else, right? Like first time the list is empty, we can do else, do what we said, right? Like, oh, user is not on the list, right? Now we're going to create user, sign up, CSC 202, password, sign up. Now our UI is bad. We don't have a chance for them to go back and sign in. How we gonna go back? There's no link to go back. I cannot test, right? So we have to fix our UI a little bit. All right, so go back to sign up and make it simple. Just put a link back, hyperlink, anchor. I think it's under controls. There you go. So change this to, yeah. Sign in. Is it one word or two words, sign in? Two, right? Okay. Code. We don't need, oh yes. When we click, right? We want to go back to where? On action. We actually wanted to show the sign in, right? We can actually use this guy, the controller, display sign up view. Can we do that? Yeah, it's gonna get source, get windows. Same thing then, but we're gonna do, instead of display sign up view, we're gonna say display what? Sign in view, right? See, the controller is the one who update the view. So that's how we arrange the code. When we do it this way, you can just assign one like designer just to design the scene as pretty as it is, and you still can just write the code. The only thing that the designer has to know is make sure you put this for me, so we can separate the work. So we're gonna have to go to this and do L enter. It's going to generate that, and then we pretty much just do the same thing, right? Get the root, then we can get a primary stage to set back, right? Set back. Now we get a primary stage, but this one is different path again, right? Isn't it? No, it's just sign in instead, right? Or log in. we call login. Yeah, I should have name it's the same conversion, otherwise it's going to be confusing. So what's wrong with this guy? Oh, we need to have the exceptions. Login. All right, so now it's going to be a little bit difficult to unit test the UI. We have to you have to use like Marathon. We will talk about that because you have to use that in your final project. In December, you have to use Marathon to test your project. Marathon is like a test program. Okay. So username, like now we do all manual, right? But when you use Marathon, it's just like you record. You do it once, and then you hit the record. It record all the action. And next time you hit play, it's just do login for you. You don't have to do manually every time. So we gonna create account again. 202. Sign up with password. Hit sign up. And we should get a message to notify, right? Like the label, say your account is created. Like now it's not user friendly, right? Now we sign in. Let's test CSC. If it works, then it should pop up the alert box that I just created. Okay, so it seems like there's an error. So let's read the error. The only time that you can fix the error is you have to read the error. It's from line 32, list of users dot top. Because no, that's why when I do this, it's no. That's why we get no part exception. Yeah, we'll fix that. But let's remove let's remove that if first just to test, because we know. But how come it's no? It should not be no, right? Because once we create it, it should push list of user has been created. So I'm going to, yeah, for now I didn't have the locker. Like normally when you do in a real world application, you don't type system.out.plain, but for now we're going to do that to try to test the code now. We should have a locker. Okay, locker is just to lock all the, like for example, when you sign up to, you use the application now, right? Like Windows always create the errors message you want to send a report, right? They're going to do in the log. In the code, they log all the errors. And then they send a log like a text file over. So that's the point of the lockers. The reason we want to use locker because clean program, like when you deploy a program into production, you don't want to see system.out as the output on the console, because user can see it too, right? So it's not clean. Then you want to lock everything in the log file, and then the developers come and just look at what is the problem. Like now we don't have locker, so normally we have to, just like JUnit, you include JUnit, you have to include the logger libraries like jar and use them here. Okay, it's just like another way to output a file, not to the console, but to the file system. So, because we try to build an application, so that's why I just try to tell you how we're supposed to do. Now, I want to lock this to C. I don't want to top, I want to top. Then I can see the user actually created. And it should call my user to string, right? And print out information of user at that point, right? But the problem is, okay, it says it's null at this line. I try to see why. So now authenticate. When I log in, it's called authenticate, right? And authenticate say we create a new, oh, that's why. I think it's look at list of user as null because we never instantiate a controller class, so this line is never initialized. The object never created, so that's why list of user is null. So you should create the object when you run the program. So this should be, we should create another method. Yeah, this is how we design the program, okay? Main should initialize this object, okay? And this guy should be initialized. Let's say another method here called controller. Again, controller is the one who handles everything, even initializing the object. Let's just say initialize. Like this is to initialize the application. First, we have to create the list to store the user's account. So we're going to just create attributes, right? And this actually should be a private. And this should also be able to access later. For now, we're gonna make it private, and we're gonna do initialize this object and name list of users. All right, so who call initialize? When you run the application, it's in the main. Main should call initialize. This is where all the applications start from start. Initialize can be a statics. In that case, yeah, this can be statics too because it's the same list that we try to access, right, throughout. So now when you call main is going to call, like before everything, we want to start to initialize our object, so we call controller. So main talk to controller and initialize the object. So object is created, we have the list, right? That makes sense? So that's how you decide the model, view, and controller. Let's run the program again. Create account. You see, that's why Marathon is going to be very useful now. You don't have to do this manually all the time. It's just test automation program. We'll talk about that. We sign up. All right, this is from our test, right? System it out, looks good. It's created. sign in. It's change the view for us. And CSC 202. Log in. Okay, no errors. Did I get an alert box? Verification. Let me try again. All right, now we're going to trace back why we're not getting alert box. Oh, maybe I don't have it correct. Else, maybe my username and password is incorrect, right? So we could share the same alert. So same alert, say username and password are incorrect, or right, password or are okay. By the way, if I want to test that, I can just do system.out for now. Like I said, normally we can just use the log at this point, and we do a log audit output. Hello. We can just see, because the errors could come from the alert itself. So that's why I want to display it on the console to see it. Oh, let's run it. User, I'll create account. Sign up. Okay, it's created. Now let's sign in. And log in. It's incorrect, because I only typed 2, right? Let's try again. Ooh, there's an error. What's wrong? Oh, because I already popped. Bad data structure, right? Why fail? I popped, that's why it's no at this point. So stack should not be used in this case. Correct. After I fail, I cannot get a user back. But what I can do is this. Move this out, pop it, and check it from there. It's gonna pop once, so it's gonna be the same problem right there. When I click again, try to pop again, because this action will call every time I click. It keep popping, popping, popping. Yeah, it's not a good data structure to use. Alright, so we're going to have to change the data structure to list, but I just tried to test, so that's why. I guess you have an idea. Alright, how we make an application. Any questions? So we can see something like this next week.
Professor, how would you go about storing the list of users in the application?
Right, we were talking about we should not use this type of data structure. Stack is not a good, you see, we have issue. So now we're going to switch back to another project that we keep creating our structures. So we could talk about list now, right? So that's why this is related back to our. Let's look at our PDF. We talk about chapter 20, correct? List, stacks, queues, and priority queues. So next week, you have 21 due, right? Exercises, correct? When? By when?
By Sunday.
This Sunday?
Next
Monday.
this week is 20.
Yeah. 21's the week.
Okay. So the 17 deals for 20th, right?
Yeah.
And then 24 is 21st, right? Chapter 21st, okay. 20th.
Yeah, would it be 18 before class? Isn't that what we've been doing?
Yes.
Before class starts?
Yeah, right. You have to save a little bit when you do Sunday. You still have the grace period. All right, so let's talk about now. I guess you guys pretty much see stacks, and you actually, if you look at this closely, we implemented stacks already. It's in 24. It's start to talk about how to implement. See that? Okay.
I have a question. When I was reading through chapter 20, they were talking about how like vectors extend something. I forget which one it was. But they were talking about like differences between using vector and another one. They're saying vectors is like you want to use vectors because the methods are like synchronized or whatever. What do they mean by it's like synchronized?
Oh. We're gonna talk about that when we talk about the chapter. Let me go back to the chapter. The parallel programming, threads programming. Okay. So sometime I can explain a little bit, but sometime here in chapter 30. Sometimes, yeah, it's being introduced first. Like public static void mean you don't even know what static, but you have to go with that. Right. So synchronize. Let's think about when program is multi-threading means when you do authentication. For now, you have one computer. It's only one user, which is you. Your program running on your PC. But if we put this program on the server, we try to authenticate NOVA students. It's possible that student going to use that at the same time to sign in, right? So that means it's going to talk to the same method at the same time. Correct? And at that point, it's going to pop at the same time. Now, when you pop at the same time, what happens? One may pop out, and another one is going to throw a null pointer exception because the other guys popped before. Then it's going to break your program. So that's why they have the synchronize keyword to help. To make sure that if someone using this method, another cannot access and using it. Okay, so that's just a short version for that. So now let's look at, we were talking about list already last time. So I want to look at the interfaces for the list. this is the Java I showed you once, right? Java collections. Collection is pretty much just the superclass of all this structure in Java. I mean the interface, super interface, right? So set going to extends from that, list extends from that, queue extends from that. The way the Java try to structure it. And if you look at, we were looking at stack, right? So stack is actually a list, right? In Java collection, stack has more than just those 3 operations then, because it's required to implement all the method in the list. And we have abstract list. Abstract list, pretty much you don't instantiate object from abstract class. It's just create as a template for the child to extend vector and array list. And stack just extends vector. Okay, that's the list. Now we see we've been using array list. Array list is pretty much a list. So what's the difference between list and set? Also, what's the difference between vector and array list? You guys know what's the difference between vector and array list? So it looked like vector using array then, right? Isn't it? Alright, so let's take a look. Just question just asked me, synchronization. Both use array to implement. So we seen, I show you that we can create things from array, right? Create this structure from array. We can create this structure from linked list, right? So, but both of these use array. The way they store and process the data are different. Synchronization. Array list is non-synchronized, which means multiple threads can work. I'm talking about multi-thread, right? Programming can work on array list at the same time. For example, if one thread is performing an add operation on array list, there can be another thread performing remove operation on array list at the same time. Right, because like I said, you can get at the same time if you not synchronize it, you not lock it. Vector is synchronized. This means if one thread is working on vector, no other thread can get a hold of it. So only one thread can access your data structure at a time. So what's the benefit of that? I'll let you think about that as a homework. We're going to talk about that for sure. But should we use vector? You know, this guy's about pick the right data structure for the right application, right? Question is, should we use vector for an online like login application, or should we use array list for an online login application? We talk about sign up, right? Authentication. Now, if this application use online to support multiple users logging at the same time, which data structure we want to use. Array list or vector?
Array list.
Why? I said go back home and research. Now you answer, okay? Why?
It's faster, so multiple people can sign up at the same time.
Okay. When I sign in, I call what method? Add user, add, right? Insert or add. Now you happen to sign in at the same time with the add user. They try to add at the same time. Do you think it's going to be a problem?
I mean,
At the same
like
time,
those
just
things
like at the
anywhere.
intersection, you try to run. You try to run, right, at the intersection at the same time. It's going to be collision. It's going to crash. You try to insert in the same slot at the same time, like into array index 0 at the same time. Who's going to go?
Random number generator, 1 or 0. Whoever gets 1 gets go first.
All right. I think let's think about that.